Okay, so now let's talk about offsets and ordering. So when we actually have a size, right? So here we have column 2 and then column 8. Well, what if I wanted a row that didn't have this extra column 2? Like, what if I wanted some breaks in between these, right? I want this to be on the right-hand side and I want this to be on the left-hand side. So to do this, we actually use ML auto. So margin left, so left of this item, auto, or MR, as in margin right, auto. We'll look at this in a second, but if I save this and take a look, refresh, it brings that over to the right. And it brings it at every size of the browser. If I get rid of that and do margin right auto, save that, it refreshes. So this is going to be based off of, how far you want this to be to the actual left. So if I actually added in another one, so div class equals to column 1, for example, save that, refresh. Notice that margin is still automatically being created because it's coming off of this unit right here. So I want to make sure that that margin's there, and this is going to change based off of that margin. So this allows me to offset things as I see fit, right? By using either margin auto or margin right auto or margin right left. So this is much more useful when you're trying to just build out a sidebar and you always want to have this content like way over here. So let's actually see something that it might make sense. I'm just going to undo all of the changes we just made with the margin items. And instead, I'm going to use something a little bit more practical. I'm going to create another row. So we'll say div class equals to row. And I'm going to do div class equals to column 1. And we'll just say home. And then we'll do div class equals to column 2. And we'll just say actions, something like that. And in this case, it would make sense to do margin left auto. So this is on the right-hand side. Of course, it's hard to tell where it is there, but if we refresh over here, we now see how that's coming through, right? We have our row with these different columns. And if we wanted to actually align with our alerts or with everything else, let's just go ahead and put those in alerts themselves so we can also see the coloring for it. Otherwise, we would probably change this overall. Okay, so another thing, maybe you put this as a search bar and you have this as 4, and then you do an input type equals to text, and we'll just add a class of form control, and we'll say placeholder equals to search. We save that, refresh, and there, now I have this little search bar here where it just adds that extra functionality. And perhaps I don't even want this column there. So let's get rid of it. We save it, refresh, and there I now have this aligned to the right exactly where I might want it as far as the search bar is concerned. Let's even take it out of that alert to make it even better looking. And there you go. So it has this search functionality. It's right where I would probably want it as far as the margin is concerned. And the next part would be the ordering, right? So right now I have it where this is the left sidebar and this is the right sidebar. Well, what if I wanted it the reverse? All you have to do is order and then a kind of a number offset. And I'll explain this in just a second, but let's say order 1, order 12. We save that, refresh in here, and it changes these in a different way because this one is not even ordered. So we're just going to say order 6. We save that, refresh, and now I've reversed those, right? So we can see this by saying first item, middle, and last, right? So we can actually look at this ordering. Save that, a refresh there, last, middle, first. No matter what, we break it down, those stay exactly where they're supposed to be. So this is cool, but here is the sort of fundamental flaw with all this, and that is the browser size. So if I change the browser size, I probably want to change how these things look. Whether it's the margin or the ordering, I might want to adjust those things depending on the browser size. So that means we have to look into what's called breakpoints. That's what we'll do in the next one.